Welcome to Stories of Our Forgotten Childhood Gifts, the series where we explore stories of spiritual and extrasensory experiences from childhood through to adulthood. I'm your host, Anne Curtis, and today we're diving into a fascinating journey. As a child, I often felt deeply connected to something greater, and it's incredible how many of us have stories that we can each share and awaken those memories from our childhood. Our guest today is Sigrid Welder. Sigrid lives in Queensland and is a tantra teacher. Originally from Germany, Sigrid has a fascinating childhood story to share where she was able to experience the mystical creatures of the forests in Germany. Sigrid, thank you for joining us. Could you tell us just a little bit about yourself and what led you to share your story today?
My story, which I experienced when there was World War II, and there was only suffering, fear, and deprivation. And so, in the forest where we were looking for berries and pine woods and firewood, I met all these mystical beings. And what I experienced was they showed me a world which I didn't know exist. I thought there was only fear, suffering, and deprivation. And there was joy, there was love, there was playfulness. It was such a wonderful world, and I never forgot it.
So, how did you initially find it? Was it that you were going into the forest on your own? And how old were you when you actually met the fairies?
I guess I was about 4 that I can remember, because we will walk into the woods, my mother and all my 6 siblings. But we all separated, and I went my own way, and I was so with myself. I was so much away from the world. And then this world opened, the world of the mystical beings, of the fairies, of the trolls, and their joy, their playfulness, their love was something I had never experienced at that time. I didn't know that a joyful world existed.
Of course, you wouldn't have any joy in that time during the Second World War. And so for you, this was pure escapism.
In the woods, I saw that it existed. I saw it. I saw their love, their joy, their playfulness, and that colored my whole life. That is part of my whole life, to bring joy to the people, to live the joy, the love, the excitement, and all this.
Sigrid, this is just so amazing. Can I ask, because this is so fascinating for me as someone who doesn't see, I sense, but don't see in the same way. How did they appear to you? I mean, did you physically saw them or was it a sensory experience for you?
I think I saw them and I lived with them. I lived with their playfulness and with their joy. I was somehow part of them. And at the same time, I was not part of them, both at the same time. I lived their joy, their playfulness, and they, so to say, brought it to me.
So how often did you go back into the woods, into the forest to spend time with them?
I think we went into the forest nearly every day because we needed stuff. We needed berries. And every time when I had a pot full of berries, blueberries usually, I got a piece of bread with real
Oh.
margarine. Yeah. So I went to mother, but I went back to my fairies. It was much more interesting. I went back to myself, where I was with the forest and with this spirit guides. I think they were my guides, my companions, the joy of my life, which I did not experience before.
And did you tell your family, your mother,
Yes,
your siblings what was happening?
they ridiculed me, and I stopped talking about them. And the only person that accepted them was my mother. But I did not tell about it very often because my siblings were around and they were like siblings do, you know. And later on, I also told stories, but about not the same animals with legs that were 2 meters high and the grass was 3 meters and things like that. And my siblings were there like this, and mother said, no, no, Sigrid is telling a story. But the joy which I experienced in the forest, this joy that was always there. like the one fairy that haunted me with the question, I am me, who are you?
Such an important question today.
I am kind of author. I have in one book written the story of this stuff a little bit. The book is called Beyond Limitless. Can you
It's
see
a
it?
bit blurred there. We can see it there, Beyond Limitless. And that was published in 2018.
2018 or 17, but I have written one story.
Well,
Perhaps I would write it today a little bit differently because it's 7 years ago. It's there.
and I can see that this was so important to you and you weren't
Yes.
validated. And I can see that that's really upset you. And I'm sorry it's upsetting you. But it's about validation, isn't it? It's about you wanted your family to listen.
My siblings ridiculed me, and I was perhaps in a different way than you, the woo-woo one, the crazy one.
Yeah.
Sigrid is different because I was always looking for lightness, for joy, for love, for playfulness. That was my target. And that target I got from my fairies in the wood. They gave it to me, or with them I experienced it, and it stayed in my life. And it is going through my life like a red thread. I am me, who are you?
Yes. When did you stop going to the woods? Did you stop? You never stopped believing because you knew and that was a part of you and they were your guides. But when did you step away from there?
I stepped away from the woods when we moved, and I think we moved when I was 9, something like 9 or 10. So for years we went, and I guess I remember that I went into the woods also by myself because I loved it so much. It was my world.
Yes.
And my name now, my second name, Welder, if you write Welder with an, it means forest.
Wow. Perfect last name for you. And so what happened then when you went to school? Did you ever share your stories as you grew up?
I was different. I did not belong, but it was difficult for me to be a child in school in this dreary classroom with nothing, with no playfulness, no joy. I was not functioning there. I was more looking for playfulness, for joy, for love, for all these things which are our real life, our spiritual life, our real life.
And what about when you left school and you went to university? I mean, you were a psychotherapist in your past career.
I think I did not speak a lot about it, but it was always spoken and unspoken there.
Yes.
It was the guideline or the red thread through my life. For example, I was tutoring another child. Oh, that was better. Then I just thought, if I become a teacher and I acknowledge the students, I respect them and give them joy and importance, then I would be the best teacher in the world and I can change it, change the school system also. And the next step as a teacher, no, you had no chance. You were locked in into the rules of them. And then I became a psychoanalyst and worked with children. They were called the different children. For me, they were the interesting children because they did not belong. They did their own thing. And I talked to the teachers. I said, they are not bad. They are not disrespectful. They are different. We are the one who do not respect them. And as a psychoanalyst, I worked with them. And that was joyful for me to,
And of course, they would have been magic children as well. They would have had their stories to share where maybe they weren't being validated by their own families and feeling very
exactly.
different.
And even 40 or 50 years later, sometimes in Facebook, somebody finds me and they thank me for the support I gave them after 40 years.
Oh, Sigrid, that's so
Fantastic.
beautiful.
It's fantastic.
Oh, that's just so valuable. And I'm so glad you've held this in your heart. No matter what people think, what people say, when we can hold on to that innocence and that magic and what we experienced, As children and young people, that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter what people think of us. And when you have such
Exactly.
incredible stories like yours, and a friend was telling me that her sister saw fairies as a child and she would tell her family, but because of their reactions, they would say
Oh,
she's off with the fairies all the time. That had a huge impact on her life because it's not allowing you to be who you truly are. And so I'm so glad you've been able to hold on in your life to who you truly are.
I hold on, but of course, the society and siblings and other people think she's a little bit crazy
That's
because I'm
okay.
joyful. I am joyful. I am loving people. I have fun with people. I say, for example, wunderbar, and they ask me, what does it mean? I say, it means wonderful. Can you say it? Can you say, I am wunderbar?
Yes, I am wunderbar.
Yeah. And then
Wunderbar.
I invite them to go home and tell everybody
Yes.
and make them say it too. The story.
Yeah. And you have a story, the magical experience with Madeline.
Oh, yes. And during the last month, I got different adventures where I met light beings from another dimension. And Madeleine is one. And it was amazing with Madeleine. She was look through and she had a big purple curtain, of course. And I flew with her. I met her several times. She carried me on her arms and we flew into other planets. And I had also one magical experience with a guy. He came from in front, but he came also from the back. He was at the same time. And he, so to say, went into me, into my spine, so to strengthen my spine. And so I have now a stronger spine, a double spine.
Which is wonderful when you're a tantra teacher, that you need that strong spine.
Oh, yes, oh, yeah. You're right.
And just so for people who may not understand, when you had that visitation and that travel in both those journeys, was that in your dream state or was that in your meditation state or just in your waking state?
It was in my waking state. I had done before Ho'oponopono and I cried a lot. And then suddenly Madeleine, at first Madeleine and then appeared, but Broccoline was more solid and Madeleine was more the light being, the soft light being where you could nearly look through.
So, like your guides again, that's as if they've become through as your guides.
Yes, like spiritual guides giving me trust and power and belief in my capacities and be strong and aware of what I do and enjoy what I do.
So good, Sigrid. And I'm really keen to know if you had some advice for parents of children who are going through similar experiences. What would you say to the parents?
I would say the same, be an allowance. Love them the way they are. Allow them to be different. Allow them to be playful or crazy or whatever and see what it does for them. Perhaps you can even support them to be an allowance. And I remember one little boy, when I was a psychoanalyst, he had asthma and his little brother, the mother and the little brother waited in the waiting room during the session. And the little brother said, how does he do it? Has he something on the wall that makes him heal?
And what about young people who've come through this and, like you, didn't get that validation from their family? What would you say to them, Sigrid? Because you've had a lifetime of experience knowing what this feels like, but you've held on to that joy and that wonderment. And, your face lights up when you talk about those experiences. So, what would you say to the young ones?
Young adults?
And children. Even for me, when I was in my late teens, I had experiences that I couldn't explain to anyone. And no one wanted to listen to me. And I was so intuitive and psychic. And there was no one at that stage to help me. And I know we've come a long way in the world, but there was not one person I could turn to at that time to help me through, to guide me through. So what would you say to the young people?
If they would mention it, I would say, trust what you experience and encourage them to live that, to allow that. And if somebody thinks you are crazy, allow that too. And my brother says, you are a bird of paradise, but sometimes you are crazy. I said, I am a crazy bird of paradise.
And you're a very happy person who brings joy to the world.
Yes, I bring joy and laughter to the world. My job.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Absolutely. And I'm just wondering if you could go back now to that time as a child. Is there something that you would want to do? If you were to go back now, back to the woods and to find those beings again, what would that feel like for you?
Wonderful. Like home. It would feel for me like home. That is my world.
Yes.
Even if I live in the 3D world, that is my world. And I bring it with my joy to them, a tiny bit. Maybe 1%, whatever. It doesn't matter. Better than nothing. And I bring them to young people too. I encourage them to allow what comes up. And in my family, there was nothing. There were only my mother. But I didn't speak about it, having 6 siblings and a mother who is overworked, and she was a victim of my father. There was no much chance to speak about it. But somehow I lived it. I didn't know that, but I did. When I heard from you, I became more aware about how much I am living it. Yes, I am doing it, I am living it. So the fairies and the trolls and whoever that was in the woods, they are my angels. They are my guides, my angels, my world.
And so you've never changed and you have that, who am I?
Yes, I wrote in the book at the end, I said, I am an indescribable enigma shrouded in mystery, a space where everything is possible and all can be miraculously actualized upon request.
That is so beautiful, Sigrid.
And the title of my story is The Mystery of Me.
Wow. And if people don't understand or think, oh my God, she's crazy, but wouldn't you rather be seen to be crazy
Oh,
and
yes.
have the joy in your life that you have, the wonderment that you have, and to know that you've helped so many children in life through listening to their stories as well, but just allowing them to have their own innocence and not naughty children, which is just so important because I think a lot of children with ADHD today are considered to be naughty children.
They
Whereas,
have other capacities what other children don't have.
yes. And finally, if you were to give one message as a takeaway from sharing your story to anyone that is listening, what would you want to say to them?
I have one sentence which I wrote in the book: be you, independent of the world and independent of what is happening. Be you and love to be you. Doesn't matter what the people say.
Sigrid, it's such a good message because I think we are in a state right now where there's so much going on and knowing what the truth is. And if you don't believe in you and believing what your own gut is telling you, then it's going to be more challenging in the world. So you have to believe in you.
What does it take to be joyfully vibrant, regardless of the circumstances? And what does it take to fertilize and magicalize our beautiful planet with joy, laughter, gratitude, and possibilities?
What we all need to hear, Sigrid, and we all need to hear stories like yours. This series is not about judgment or analyzing people. It's just allowing that magic of who we are to come to the fore again and know that we're actually okay.
More than okay.
Yes, we're very lucky. Sigrid, thank you so much for sharing, what I think is such a beautiful story. It's so important that we don't lose sight of who we truly are. Everyone's story is important. Until next time, remember, the magic and innocence within never truly fades. It's always there to be rediscovered. Thank you.